Welcome to Birds of Prey Sports Talk, where we weekly cover Ravens and Orioles news. We're your hosts, TJ and Jared, and today we're going to be going over the unfortunate and trap game Ravens versus Colts. And just to start out, I remember seeing all week leading up to this game, trap. This people were calling us a trap game. It's like trap game all over it. And me personally, I didn't believe that. I felt like this was a very winnable game for us. Especially with their starting quarterback Anthony Richardson being out. I feel like like we saw all the time with the Orioles, this was the prime example for the Ravens to take advantage, of that. And we fell flat. You know, our first offensive drive, we drove the ball down the field very well, and unfortunately, it got stalled by a fumble by King and Drake. And fumbles are definitely one of the reasons why we lost this game. It just seemed like we just couldn't keep our hands on the ball. I hope that after this game, Harbaugh coached them very hard on keeping the ball close to their body, and holding on to that ball tight because we definitely weren't doing that in the game. And also I kind of got to get on Lamar here, and I'll get into everybody's stats, after this. But you know, the game wasn't entirely on him. The refs were missing so many calls on Zay Flowers. They missed two pass interference calls on Zay Flowers. One of them, which cost us the game, I would say. But you know, Lamar is seeming to still have those same problems that we always talk about. And in this game, the fumbles arose. The fumbles. And he did have some throws that could have been better, but I'll say the fumbles are the main thing. And of course, it doesn't help when his pocket is collapsing every 3 seconds, but you know, these are just things that this is year six, these are just things that we're hoping to see cleared up. And, they're still kind of, arising. And it kind of makes you wonder, what is he doing with his what if he's doing, what is he doing with his trainer, D3 QB, I think that's what his name was. What exactly are they doing? It seems like he's kind of looking the same every year that he comes in. And I love Lamar, but it doesn't mean that we can't give him his fair share of criticism. So, he really needs to hold on to that ball tight. I know he has amazing pocket awareness because he's the most dynamic player in the league. He knows when to escape the pocket, when it's closing, but he's got to hold on to that ball a little bit more tighter. And he's got to be more accurate with some of those throws. If you got to hit the guy right here on the chest. It can't be behind him right here. It can't be up there. It's got to be right here, right here. So those are just two things I had to say about Lamar. Other than that, he did everything he could to help the team win. I mean, he's the leading rusher. He had 14 rushes for 101 yards. He was really going off of his legs in the game. Second leading rusher was Gus Edwards, who me and you will talk about later, because you pointed out that we should see Gus more as a primary running back. We shouldn't see his workload split up with guys like Melvin Gordon.
Yep.
So, Gus Edwards had 11 rushes for 51 yards, 4.6 yards average. His longest was 14 yards. Melvin Gordon had 10 rushes, 32 yards, 3.2 yards per carry. Zay Flowers led receiving, 8 receptions for 48 yards. Nelson Aguilar came in second, 4 receptions for 39 yards. Mark Andrews had also 4 receptions for 35 yards. King and Drake had 2 receptions for 31 yards. Melvin Gordon had 2 receptions for 23 yards. Isaiah Likely had 1 reception for 20 yards, and Bateman had 1 reception for 6 yards. Now, what are two things that are wrong about that receiving stat line? Or what are two things that are wrong about that receiving stat line to you that stand out?
To me, Andrews, why does he only have, what do you say, 4 receptions?
He had 4 receptions for 35 yards.
Yeah, 4 receptions on 5 targets. Why isn't the offense being run through one of your highest paid guys on offense? And you can hear me well, right?
Yes.
So I'm leaning back in my chair a little bit, so I was like, I had the mic here, but
Get comfortable. Yeah.
yeah, I'm a little comfortable right now. It's a little late, so just trying to get all snazzy. But no, in all seriousness, why is Andrews only getting 5 targets in this, wet environment, a little bit maybe cold, why is he not getting the ball more? And then what is it? What is it? Bateman, one reception on 3 targets and six yards. And on another thing, Zay Flowers is 8 receptions, but for 48 yards. Like that means that what it says an average of 6 yards a catch. Like his route tree, was so small. Like it seems to be so underneath and intermediate. That's probably 3 things I noticed. Why isn't Bateman getting his looks? I don't know if that's a Lamar thing or if it's a Munkin thing, but like if this is supposed to be a spread offense, it seems like obviously in a spread offense, everybody gets a touch, but there are going to be focal points. That
Yeah.
always seems is going to be part of the offense, but it just feels like there are certain guys you may want to elevate a little bit more, like an Andrews, who, I remember, I think it was on the second drive, there was like a nice play on the seam that he made, a nice throw from Lamar on the seams that he made, and he was just like nowhere to be found after that. Maybe he had like 1 or 2 more receptions after that, and it's like I don't know if that's a Lamar thing. I don't know if it was the pocket breaking down too quick, because Cole Jackson, I think that's his name. I don't know if you watch any of his videos. He goes to the all 52, or I think it's 52 or 53. I forgot what it's called. Is it all 52 footage?
All 52, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and the play where Lamar got sacked, they're running a four verts, and nobody was looking back at him, and the pocket was collapsing. So, I think Lamar needs to throw it at somebody's feet or throw it away. But is that really a situation that calls for four verts? It seems like when other teams run a 2 minute offense or a little bit less than that, they try to get their guys open as quick as possible because you don't have a lot of time. All you needed to do was get Justin Tucker in field goal range, and that's from the 40 and a little bit beyond that. And it's like they made him kick a 61-yard field goal to try to win the game, and it's like, I'm sorry, I'm kind of going on a tangent here. I answered your question, but I'm adding on a little bit more. But
Yes.
it's just kind of annoying because what was the biggest thing that we hated about Greg Roman? Or not hated, just disliked. It just seems like what did he love to do the most? He'd love to run that four verts play. It's like, why are we not going away from that? Four verts plays work in certain scenarios and maybe certain defenses, but is a four verts play really going to work in a 2 minute drill? Like, why isn't there balls going intermediate to Mark Andrews? Why isn't, Zay Flowers running a dig or a slant or maybe a zig route to try to get open? Like, why is, Bateman seems to be catching a lot of out routes this year. Why is he not running an out route to get some yards to help get Justin Tucker in field goal range? Like it's just certain things that kind of piss me off about this offense so far. Because out of the 3 games, we've had a mad game, a great game, or a good game, and then a terrible game. And I'm not gonna be, I was kind of on Harbaugh. Me and you were on the phone. I don't want to put all the blame on him, because I'm not trying to be a part of that crowd that's like, oh, fire John Harbaugh or whatever. I would be interested to see what a new regime would be like here, but I like Harbaugh and what his position has been here all this time. He lets the coordinators work. He may put his input in here every once in a while, but he's really just a guy who is a good leader of men, in my opinion. But the one thing about the Harbaugh era that's always kind of infuriated me is why does one play dictate the rest of the game? Now I understand momentum in sports. I've played sports, not professionally, but I understand momentum and how much one moment can sway a game. But this is the second drive. I was irritated about the fumble in Cincinnati last year, the playoff. Why did we just look like a completely different game, a completely different team those last 2 drives? But that's the playoffs. The momentum's hard to get back. But this is a regular season game versus a team that doesn't have their starting quarterback. Why is it just derail the whole offense? We went from blow them out mode to all right. We just got to barely win. Like, so I'm sorry I went on a long ass tangent, but that's just kind of how I felt about this game right here, offensively at least.
Yeah, and I want to add in some things too. We haven't even gotten to the defense yet, but my thing is this. It seems like okay, let's just aside from Lamar Jackson, our best player on offense right now is Mark Andrews. And I feel like we need to do more plays where we're scheming him to get open. He's a big yak guy. As soon as he catches the ball, big yards after catch guy. You know, why aren't we seeing more plays where he's getting shots to get in the red zone, to score
Right.
touchdowns? Why aren't we seeing him, get more open along the seams, like how you said? You know, why is he just getting he's having these games where he's having 4 receptions for 35 yards, as opposed to the Chiefs offense, they're always finding ways for Kelsey to get open.
Right.
When they had Tyreek, Kelsey always seemed like the number one option even when they had Tyreek. So I'm hoping that Todd Monken can find ways to get Andrews open because, it just seems like everybody is forced to do these short routes and not really play to their own strengths and their own route trees. Everybody is minimized to these short route trees so far.
Right.
And I don't think it's necessarily the same as what we saw from Greg Roman, but it is kind of trending towards it a little bit. Zay Flowers is a deep ball guy. Do more plays like how we saw against the Bengals, where Lamar just threw it up and he caught it. That's the type of guy that Zay Flowers is. He's a deep threat. You know what I'm saying? Lamar,
Mhm.
like how we said about Andrews, he's a yak guy. You know, I'm just hoping that we can integrate what these guys' talents are more into this offense instead of
Right.
minimizing them. Which kind of in a way minimizes Lamar.
Right.
So, and also Gus Edwards having 11 carries,
Oh, that too. Yeah, I didn't even mention that.
not acceptable. I'm sorry, but Melvin Gordon.
Well, I mean, to be fair, he did get hurt, so I
Oh
don't.
yeah, the
But
concussion.
it
Yeah.
just seemed like they didn't want to give him the ball after that second drive for some
Yeah.
reason. After that first drive, I'm sorry.
Listen, Edwards should be getting 19 carries a game.
Yeah.
He should not be splitting with Melvin Gordon. And I'm gonna be for real. Kenyon Drake and Melvin Gordon took away 2 receptions from either Zay Flowers or Mark Andrews or Bateman in this game. They took receptions away from them as well. So I think the overall consensus with the offense is got to be better at protecting the football. We got to find ways to get our players open. We can't minimize them with these short, slants and drag routes. We brought Todd Monken in to elevate the
Right.
offense, not keep it minimized. Lamar said he went to throw for 6,000 yards. He said that for a reason because we have the weapons to do it. But let's
And we're
let's
and we're and we're not dogging on the team too much. We
yeah, yeah.
understand it's a week 3. It's September. There's a lot to be worked on, and we want to see this, but we don't want to have these conversations in week 13
Right.
or in December or the beginning of January. We do not want to have these conversations where it's like, why is this 2 minute offense not working? Why is this doing this? Why is Gus not getting the share? Whatever, this, that, and the third. So it's just like getting to the point where it's like, if you don't, if you Gus is a bruiser, he will get you a lot of yards. He averages almost 6 yards a carry in his career. Like, why is he not the primary back?
Right.
He should be. He needs to be. He deserves to be with Dobbins out. Dobbins is probably I don't know if I'd say he's the better all around running back, but like he's definitely got maybe a leg up on, Gus in a way, just because maybe he offers a little bit more speed and elusiveness. But, or whatever, juke moves, whatever you want to say, but Gus falls forward. That's the one thing that me and you always talk about with Gus. He always falls forward. And it's like, I don't think it's a coincidence that we scored 2 touchdowns on the drives that he was a main back.
Yeah.
At least that's what I think would happen. That's what I saw in my eyes. And, just the offensive line didn't play great, in my opinion. It's kind of hard to play against that defensive front. No shots to the Bengals defensive front, but it's nowhere near as good as the Colts. I mean, they got who's on the Bengals defensive front? They got Trey Hendrickson. They got Sam Hubbard,
Some,
DJ
yeah.
Reader, I think.
Yeah, Reader's back there too.
Is it
Yeah.
is it DJ Reader? Is that his name?
DJ Reader, yep. DJ
Yeah,
Reader.
so they don't, but the Colts got some dogs, man.
Yeah.
And I think that, really, and this is no discredit to the Colts. The Colts came in and did what they needed to do. You know, I felt like we gave them a lot of opportunities to win this game. We played like we wanted to lose, but their defense played like they wanted to win. So, I don't think the Colts offense didn't do very well, besides maybe Zach Moss. But like Gardner Minshew didn't light us up through the air, and then we'll get into the defense in a minute. But You know, just scheme guys open a little bit more. You know, because if you think back to those Chief teams where they had Tyreek Hill and all them, who were the main guys that you could, point out? Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelsey, but who also played their roles, like Demarcus Robinson, Sammy Watkins, Mecole Hardman. They all did something. You know,
Yeah.
that's what a spread offense does. And I don't know if the Chiefs were considered a spread offense, but they certainly spread the ball a decent amount.
And they used those players to their strengths and they used them.
Exactly.
They didn't minimize them to, short game route trees. They didn't do that at all, so
Right.
I'm hoping that, we don't fall into that same well, we are right now, but I'm hoping that we don't continue down that road because then we're going to get guys that are frustrated. Mark Andrews was frustrated in the Bengals playoff game, you know, not wasn't being used at all in the game, really. I mean, and I can understand we had Tyler Huntley, but still, we don't want guys being frustrated. So, you know, moving on to the defense. Obviously, we can't go without mentioning Kyle Hamilton. Just had a monster game. He was just flying all over the field. He had 3 sacks. I mean, he was just incredible. And he's really starting to establish himself as one of the better players on his defense right now. I mean,
Right.
he was scary out there yesterday, terrorizing Gardner Minshew. Like he was like he stole something from him.
Like the Gardner Minshew owed him some money.
Yeah, he was all over that boy. So aside from that, the run defense was very suspect,
Yeah.
obviously terrifying. And you want your defense to be terrifying, not having something terrifying done to them.
Right.
And, as a
No,
Ravens defense, what was that?
no, what were you saying?
I was gonna say, as a Ravens defense, it's embarrassing. You should
Right.
not be allowing 100. Let me see, 122 yards at home, 30 rushes. They were just handing them the ball. They were just feeding him all game.
Yep.
You should not be allowing that. And the defense
The
just,
outside runs were
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. And the defense just looked old and slow.
The one thing I will say is the edges were not set because you didn't have a Jabo out there, you didn't have a way. You know, you had, I believe, like Tavian Robinson out there, and then Mortavius Robinson is his name. Um, and then you had Clowney out there, but he's more of an interior, type of dude. So you just didn't have your main guys. You kind of would have, and you had Jeremiah Moon out there as well. So I don't know. It was upsetting, because Away wasn't gonna play, and then Ajabo got hurt. So it's like the edges. I think we underrate how Away and Ajabo set edges maybe. And I think the losses to them might be huge. And then if you whenever you want me to go over the defensive stats, I'll do it.
Yeah. We can get to that right now because yeah, we can get to that right now.
You have anything else to say?
No, I can say it after. I
All
don't
right.
think.
Well, just for the defensive stats, our leaders in tackles was Patrick Queenie at 12 total tackles. 7 of them were solo. Um, Roquan was second. He had 12 total tackles as well. 4 of them were only solo. Had a half of a sack, and 1 pass deflection, and 1 QB hit. Brandon Stevens, 11 total tackles, eight of them were solo, and 2 pass deflections. Like you said, Kyle Hamilton balled out, 9 total tackles, 7 of them were solo, 3 sacks, 2 deflections, 2 tackles for loss, 1 pass deflection, and 3 QB hits. That kind of doesn't make sense. How do you have 3 sacks but only 2 tackles for loss?
This is weird.
So, anyways, also he also forced a fumble, if I'm not mistaken. Geno Stone had 7 total tackles and 5 of them were solo. Daryl Worley came in, I believe, because we had a lot of injuries in secondary. 7 total tackles, 4 of them were solo. Jadeveon Clowney had 3 total tackles, 2 of them were solo. He had a half of a sack and 2 QB hits. He had a play where he had Zach Moss wrapped up and he just let him go for some reason. I don't know what that was about. That's the second time this year he's done that. Now I've really appreciated Jadeveon Clowney's work this year. He's really done a good job this year, but those 2 plays kind of irritated me about him.
Yeah.
And then obviously everybody. We're not gonna go over all the tackles. You know, and like I said, I believe Kyle Hamilton. See, that's one thing. When Kyle Hamilton forced the fumble, I forgot who was trying to recover it, but they seemed like they tried to scoop and score instead of trying to fall on the ball at that moment. I just feel like with the weather conditions what they are, you kind of have to fall on that ball that rhymed. But you kind of have to fall on the ball and then try to get some points because that would have put our offense in a great position. Why was he trying to scoop and score? I understand the glory and you want to, be like the guy who returned the fumble for a touchdown, but I think situational awareness is important. And that was not good situational awareness. I
Yeah.
think the ball wound up going out of bounds. So I don't remember who tried to pick it up, but he looked like a fool trying to scoop and score, So I think, like I said, situational awareness is to be key in that situation. I think Harbaugh should go up to him and be like, hey, man, like, just fall on the ball. We need to get some points,
Yeah.
because who knows what confidence they're going to have our offense. Because what did we do? Nothing. They kicked the ball off, they punted it off, and we didn't do anything, So,
And you were done the defense, right?
yeah,
I just wanted to kind of, go back to the offense because, while the defense did have a rough game, I genuinely believe they'll work it out within themselves. I feel like, you know, this is generally a once in a while thing with the Ravens. They allow a breakout rushing attack like this. So I feel like they'll, fix it within themselves. But I just want to touch back on the offense because it just brings me back to a point that you kind of mentioned and that my dad also mentioned. You mentioned about, Justin Tucker. While he is obviously the GOAT field goal kicker, we kind of shouldn't be trying to put him in positions to kick such long field goals, like 60 plus, long field goals to win the game. And my dad was saying the same thing. And it's kind of like we're playing, we're playing to like, it kind of feels like we're playing, to be like, oh, if we don't get it, then we're okay with sending Tuck out there getting 3 points. When in my eyes, we should be playing to always score. We
the
should be
touchdown.
playing to
Yeah,
always get seven and not three.
right,
Just because we have Tuck, and he can make it from anywhere.
right,
And I feel like, we put him in positions where obviously we've seen him make, 60 plus yard field goals before, but
right,
we shouldn't have to do that.
right.
Plus I feel like Lamar's fumble, obviously had to do a lot with that. One of the field goal kicks as well. But
I think you're talking about the sack.
oh yeah, yeah, the sack. Yeah, the sack. Yep, that pushed us back a lot, that sack. But I the offense just really concerns me. It really does. And I haven't seen a lot of, ESPN, people, Stephen A. Smith, Undisputed. I haven't seen a lot of people talk about the offense, but like that, but it really concerns me. You know, we need to spread out the ball more. We need to spread out the ball more. We need to be a balanced offense. We can pound a rock and still, take shots. And we know this. We've seen the deep shots work. Like how I just said, we've seen it work. We've seen it work with Zay Flowers in the Bengals game. We've seen it work with Odell Beckham in a Texans game. We took a shot. I think it was like 20 to 25 yards. That's still considered a deep shot. And he caught it. You remember that kind of sliding catch he made? You know, we just I'm just really starting to get tired of these running plays, and we're not feeding the hot hand. It's kind of like a committee running back, and it's getting hot and cold, and then we're doing these short screen plays that are getting like 2 yards. And that's why you see guys like Zay Flowers have like 5 point yard, his catches are going for 5 yards average. You know, I want it to be a more balanced offense, where we're taking shots, we're still able to run the ball. We're just spreading the ball out. We're looking to attack Andrews in the red zone because we have enough weapons to cause teams to stress out on them, and it could possibly leave Andrews open. I feel like I'm jumbling my words here a little bit, but I just want it to I just want our players to be able to play to their strengths and not be minimized. I mean, do you agree with me here? It seems like the route trees are really being minimized. Why are
Yeah,
we seeing all of these screens?
yeah.
We are historically not good at screens. We literally have seen evidence already of Zay being able to be good at deep shots. Why not do more? Really, why not do more? Why are
Right.
we scared?
Or
How is
even
LeBron
just
better?
even just work in the intermediate game. It doesn't all have to be like 30, 40 yard bombs. Like it could just be 15, 20 yard, receptions, to Mark. That's my biggest thing. Or to Bate. Bate has been
Hey,
working the sidelines really well this year so far, So, I think a lot of this had to do with, Stanley, Linderbaum, and even OBJ being out, and I want to see OBJ out there. I think that the offense worked a little bit better when he was the number one wide receiver, and then what about all this talk with, Bateman being wide receiver one still? What was happening with that? Remember Lamar was in his press conferences this offseason, like, oh, Bates still number one. Bates still number one. He said that a few times. But what have we done to show that?
right.
Is there no trust? And then he got hurt again. So it's like I know it's week 3, but I think we have the right to be aggravated. You know, um, I think we all kind of knew that we would go through these bumps and bruises, but I only will accept these bumps and bruises at this now if that means that we'll be firing on all cylinders later for when it really, really, really matters. Like I said, I don't want to have to be saying, why are we doing this with Zay? Why are we not working in Andrews? Why are we not doing this? Why are we not doing that? Because then we're back in the same boat, like how we were Greg Roman of whys. Why? I don't want to keep asking why. Now, Monken's not going to always call a perfect game. He's going to maybe call a game that's not going to be that good every once in a while. That's just the nature of football. But I want to see more consistency in certain things. Like, maybe, this team doesn't have great linebackers. Let's feed Andrews, because cornerbacks aren't going to cover him. Maybe this team's cornerbacks are slow. Let's burn them with Zay. Let's burn them with OBJ. Maybe these cornerbacks are smaller and these linebackers aren't that talented. Let's try to big body them, with OBJ and Mark or whatever, even Bate maybe. So I don't know. Just and the overtime possessions were atrocious. They were pathetic. I know you didn't get a chance to really see them because, your power unfortunately went out.
Mhm.
But, I did, unfortunately. I wish my power was out, so I didn't want to watch that. So I think there was like a miscommunication between Lamar and Zay on that one play where he threw it behind him. But I think Zay was supposed to stop and go. Like he was supposed to stop, hit him, and then go. And then, I mean, we can blame the refs all we want. They should have been called, but we did so much to lose in this game. I like to blame the refs all the time, but this is a situation where it's like, yeah, they messed up. They messed up big too, but we messed up probably just as big.
And I think a big thing to note is Jordan Stout had several punts.
They were good.
Several punts.
Mm-hmm.
And we're playing the Colts in arguably the worst division in football, the AFC South.
And then another thing that kind of irritates me is we punt them into the one. Gardner Minshew steps out of the end zone. We get the safety. It's 19-16. So there apparently was on the game clock in the stadium. It said that it was a 158, and they called for the fair catch or something like that. And they pretty much told him if you were going to fair catch it, make sure they're under 2 minutes. But then all of a sudden the time went to 2 or 3. So the time wasn't right. So for one thing, why isn't the time right? First of all, why isn't the time right? And second of all, I think as a coach, you should get all the guys together and be like, look, this is what we're going to do in this situation. So, and in my opinion, I mean, for me, I think Zay should have worked around a little bit. And why is Zay back there? First of all, why
Yeah.
isn't Duvernay back there? You're all pro returner. You're Pro Bowl returner, whatever he was. Like, why isn't Duvernay back there? Maybe he was and they kicked it to the other side, but that would be dumb. Why are you kicking it to Zay? So if a guy who's faster than Duvernay. I'm like rhyming a lot in this video. I've noticed that. But, you know, yeah, it's just why isn't Duvernay back there? Why is Zay back there? I don't know if Harbaugh really explained that, but a questionable decision. And then on top of that, so you get the ball, unfortunately, you didn't get it under the 2 minute warning. Why are we doing a run, 2 run plays, and then a screen on 3 straight downs? And now there should have been a face mask call, but or there actually should have been offsetting penalties so that we had to redo it. But Why are we doing that? The one thing that was working for us in the game was having the spread offense out there, multiple receivers on the field, maybe multiple tight ends, and having Lamar run up the middle because the cornerbacks have to worry about the receivers. Why are we not doing that in that situation? Lamar should be in the gun, or at least have a running back next to him or whatever that is ready to receive, but ultimately the play is going to go up like a QB draw. So, and the Colts didn't seem to have an answer for that. And then did not run that play again. So that's pretty much all I got to say about this embarrassing loss.
Yeah, and I just hope moving forward, if we are going to take a game to kind of model what the future offense should be like, I feel like that Bengals game is a good example.
Right.
Aside from Justice Hill getting 11 carries, I feel like five of those should, about six of those should go to Gus. So mainly Gus and Lamar getting the Lions' main of the rushing attempts.
Right.
But I like how we targeted Andrews in the red zone, and we got a touchdown out of it.
Right. Exactly.
Andrews in the red zone, automatic touchdown. So, like I said, I just hope that I feel like, and that wasn't even the best version of our offense, but imagine that offense in the Bengal game at its best. I feel like that's what the Ravens offense should be like.
Right.
So look at that film, try to work more towards that, give Gus Edwards more carries. He's our best running back right now. Unless we want to go out and get JT, but
Right.
he's our best running back right now. But that's all we have for today's video.
Well,
Honestly,
I guess before we head out of here, just give me your small little preview of the Ravens versus Browns game.
okay. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
TJ's keys to the game, I guess.
Okay, so my keys to the game for the Browns game. Oh, well, I'll just start with my what I think about the game. Okay, so I feel like that game is going to be a very low scoring game, a very physical game.
Yeah.
I can see it being like a 13-10 game. I feel like the running attack is we're going to see that a lot between both teams. Obviously we want to see guys like Andrews, hopefully Beckham plays. We want to see guys like that get spread out, get the ball more, even Zay. We have a lot of weapons. Obviously, we want to see them be used and exploited, but I feel like the running attack is what's really going to be the key to that game.
Yeah.
The Browns have arguably one of the best defensive lines headed by Myles Garrett. So,
Mhm.
the passing is going to be it's got to be very quick coming out. And
Right.
if we can't do that, then the running game has to work, or we got to get
Right.
those short intermediate passes that we hate, but they will have to work in that case.
Right.
So,
And like maybe slants,
yeah, yeah.
maybe zig route, dig routes, whatever it's gonna be.
Yeah, so yeah. So I say, some of my keys to the game is protect the ball, you
Yes.
know, um, you know, try to pound a rock, and just get the ball out quick. Don't
Yeah.
take unnecessary sacks by Myles Garrett because we already know he's going to be balling out. And just try to spread the ball out. Try to get the ball to your best player. Try to get the ball to Mark Andrews. Try to get the ball to Zay Odell. Be balanced. I think those are my keys to the game.
Mhm.
And that is our discussion of the disappointing Ravens and Colts game. We will hopefully we can bounce back against the Browns this Sunday.
Yeah.
Um, you know, that's our thoughts about this game. You can catch us in the next recap video that we'll do next week. We kind of got bogged down a little bit this week because I had work and my bro here was sick, but he's feeling a little bit better. I'm glad. So, we're hoping the Ravens get better too. We all got to get better.
Right. They were under the weather with me, clearly.
But we're birds of prey. Make sure you check out our social media links. Jared, he's an editing goat, so he added the our links. They should be above our heads or below. Also check out our second channel, Casual Cinema. We'll be reviewing some TV shows and some movies on there soon. We promise that channel is not dead. Um, you know, just support us in any way we can. We're gonna be grinding for you guys. We're doing everything we can. So yeah, we're TJ and Jared from Birds of Prey, and we're out.
Right.